Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by to my YouTube channel, and thank you for stopping by to view this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like and comment. Welcome to the Tea Factory podcast. I appreciate y'all stopping by to listen to this video. But if you could please subscribe, comment, and like, I would greatly appreciate it. I am trying to grow this channel, so I thank you so much in advance. Also, just to go over the copyright, Section 107 of the Copyright Act, there is allowance for fair use of copyright material for such purposes as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. Everything I say is in my own very opinion. Usually I just go over scene by scene and then I just give my opinion and commentary on the scene. So we are doing episode 7. We are reviewing episode 7, season 16, episode 7. And the episode is called Nashville Hold'em. So episode 7 opens up with Britt and her husband at a car dealership. She said that he promised her that he would buy her a new vehicle every 2 years. So she is shopping or looking for a car. Now, they don't show us at the end or whatever, at the end of the season, at the end of this episode, if she indeed did get a new vehicle or not. They don't show that. So maybe they were just there for the cameras, fronting and profiling. I don't know. But they were at a car dealership, but we didn't see her drive off with one. So next thing, we have Angela Oakley. She's at her house, and Drew is coming over to Angela's house. And so, they go over to the backyard, and they're sitting at the pool, having conversations about the girls, of course. And then Angela mentions to Drew, Drew says to Angela, "Oh, I see you have my cousin's drink," again, claiming to be Michael Jordan's cousin. So at Shamia's house, Drew was saying that she was related to Michael Jordan. She had said Michael Jordan was her cousin. I don't know how true that is, but Angela says she's lying, and I'm going to believe Angela because Drew is a liar, and Drew always be lying. Carlos King calls Mia be lying from Potomac. He needs to call Drew be lying as well, because Drew does lie. So Drew is lying, saying that she was related to Michael Jordan, even though she is not. Then they start talking about so they go off that scene. They go to Kelly. Sorry. So the next scene, we have Kelly and her sister in the kitchen cooking. I think they were cooking because they have company. The girls were coming over, or it's the dog's birthday or something. I don't know. But they're in the kitchen cooking. Cynthia comes over, and then Cynthia gives off this long list of men that she likes and doesn't like in her confessional. And then Porsha and then Shamia show up, and so they're having like this brunch or get together at Kelly's house. And then Kelly's full of life. Kelly's just loud, So they're just basically on this scene, they're just showing all the girls coming over. Cynthia, Porsha, and Shamia coming over to Kelly's house. And then Porsha comments about the dog, how the dog has all these colors and glitter and I don't know, some sparkly stuff on her. And Kelly explains why her dog has all those things on her and why her dog is colored. The dog has dyes. And so Kelly says that they had lost a dog before, and they found her on Craigslist, and it was very hurtful, and it was just a very bad part of her life that had happened, and that she never wants to lose her again. So that's why she died her dog. And then no telling, she might even have put a chip on her, but she didn't say that. Then it goes over to Britt at the car dealership again. Britt is talking with her husband about Angela, and she's saying, she just basically is talking about how her and Angela have been beefing and not getting along. So, she's telling and updating her husband, and then she says that she has heard out in the streets that Charles, Angela's husband, has a baby out there and that he had a baby on her. So Britt is basically saying, instead of worrying about me and talking shit about me, you need to be worried about your husband, because they out here in the streets saying that he had a baby on you. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what Britt was saying. And then the producer asked, in her confessional, the producer asked Brittany, how do you know that? How do you know that there is a baby out there, or that he had a baby on Angela? And she was like, well, I don't know for certain, but the streets have been, speaking. The streets have been saying there's always been this rumor about it. So we shall see what happens of that. Next thing, it goes back to Drew and Angela at Angela's house, and they're talking about Brittany as well, and they're talking about the girls. And then Drew tells Angela that she received a text message from Britt saying that she wanted to meet up for a drink and talk about the issues that they have. And she read it to her in a funny voice, just being rude. And then Drew also tells Angela about the divorce that her and Raph are going through, and how she wants her records to be sealed, and how I feel like she wants the records to be sealed because she's trying to protect herself. I mean, she may be trying to protect Raph, but I think also herself as well. I feel like in the divorce records, there must be something there about Drew and Ty messing with each other. And Drew doesn't want that to come out. She doesn't want the world to know about her relationship with Ty, because she's so adamant. Like, she's so adamant about the divorce papers being unsealed. So she's not only trying to protect Raph, like she says. I think she's also trying to protect herself and her image as well. And then Angela asked her if Raph was jealous of Dennis, and she didn't really say yes or no, but I don't think he's jealous of Dennis. I think he's just I think Raph is over Drew. So anyway, so that was that scene. Next scene, then they go back to Kelly's house with Porsha, Shamia, and Cynthia, and they're talking about the drama. Excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my voice. Sorry, excuse me. And they're talking about the drama with Drew and Porsha rather. And then, then they start talking about Porsha's birthday. So Porsha tells the girls that she's inviting everybody to Nashville for her birthday, and the theme is going to be Cowboy Carter. So everybody has to dress in cowboy hats, and it's just going to be a Cowboy Carter theme. And then, she tells them she's inviting her closest friends, which is like an Atlanta socialite, a clique that they have here, which includes the ones that are coming to her birthday party is going to be like Manetta, that girl, I forgot her name, is Amin, but she's the mother of those two little girls, those two biracial little girls, because her husband is white. So the black lady that's married to the white guy, and they have twin girls, and they went viral a couple years ago. They're like YouTube or sensation. They're beautiful little girls. I just love them. They're pretty little girls. So that girl, Privé, I don't know who that is. Her sister Lauren, some other person. But so she tells them, her other friends are coming as well. And then they asked if Drew was coming. Porsha said she didn't invite Drew. But then when they pan over to Angela and Drew, when they go over, because the next scene, when they go over to Angela's house, they show Angela inviting Drew. Angela had no business inviting Drew, but Angela invited Drew to go to Nashville to go to Porsha's party, knowing, good and well she had no business doing that. So that was that scene. So next scene, we have Kelly teaching her daughter how to drive. She was teaching her daughter how to drive. I mean, nothing to see here. It was just, her teenage daughter teaching her how to drive. Next scene, I really don't have too much to say about that scene. With Kelly teaching her daughter how to drive. I mean, it was brave because when my daughter was trying to learn how to drive, I didn't teach her how to drive. I took her to driving school. I sent her to driving school. I didn't have the patience and the bravery to do it. So shout out to Kelly for being brave to get in a car with a teenager that doesn't know how to drive. So anyway, let's move along. Next scene is Shamia in the studio. And this scene was nothing either. It was just like, just like a few seconds scene. They just showed her going in there, singing a little bit. Really don't have nothing to say about that scene. Next scene, we have Angela in her house in the kitchen with her 2 kids, her young children, the little ones. And she was saying that her nose was, when she got her nose done, it was too pinched. And so someone had told her to get some Botox done, and it would even out the nose. But it didn't, because her nose, her nose is pinched still. So, but they showed a picture of her, like, when her nose was fat and it had spread. So she said she was looking a hot mess. But and I appreciate her finally admitting that she had her nose done, because I thought at the beginning of the season she wasn't admitting that she had a nose job, especially when Shamia was making fun of her nose. So she finally admitted that she had her nose done. I mean, it was obvious. It looks like Michael Jackson. She looked like LaToya Jackson, actually. So that was that scene. Really don't have nothing to say about that. So next scene is Porsha and Cynthia. And okay, so in this scene, Porsha and Cynthia, they are at Porsha's mother's house, Miss Diane's house, which is in Duluth. Okay, so if you've been watching the House, technically that house is actually Porsha's house. It's Porsha's house. But when Porsha married Simon, she gave that house to her mom, and then she moved with Simon in Buckhead. So Buckhead is in Atlanta. It's closer to the city. It's closer to everything that's happening. It's closer to downtown. And Buckhead is where all the rich people in Atlanta live. Not all the rich people, but most of the rich people. It's kind of like Buckhead is our Beverly Hills. That's what I like to call it. At least in my opinion, Buckhead is Atlanta's Beverly Hills. That's my opinion. Somebody else might argue me down. So anyway, they are in Duluth, which is north. You gotta go. It's north of the city. It's a suburb. It's not close. You'll get stuck in traffic coming from Duluth. And that's what she was saying in that one scene when she was late to Shamia's birthday party. So, and then if you guys notice that scene, Porsha filming at her mother's house, I think it's the first time that they have showed this season thus far. It was the first time that they showed Porsha filming in a house. Because, like the rest of the scene with Porsha, it's always like she's meeting somebody at the restaurant or she's going to somebody's house. So this is the first scene that they showed Porsha, and it was at her mother's house. Because she can't film at her own house in Buckhead, because it's hers and Simon's house. And Simon sent Bravo that cease and desist. So she can't film in the marital home. So she has to film at her original house that she had purchased, and then when she got married, she passed on to her mother. So that was that scene. And then they were talking about Porsha and Cynthia were talking about the trip and how she's happy that that her and Cynthia is back on the show together. And Cynthia saying she needs to go to Amazon and get some cowboy material to get ready to go for the trip. So next scene, we have Drew and Britt meeting up for drinks to squash their beef. So Britt was already there. Then Porsha shows up. Now this part right here, y'all, I don't like this. I don't like this scene right here, because I can't, y'all know I cannot, I don't see it for Drew at all. I can't stand Drew. But Drew asked Britt if she ever sold the cat. And then Britt was like, come again? What? She's like, did you sell it? The cat? But thank God Britt wasn't stupid, so she knew what she was talking about. And she's like, no, I never sold it. So basically, Drew was asking Britt if she was a hoe. And Britt was like, no, I never did sell it. She was like, but, I was young and dumb in my 20s. I did some webcam, which I don't know what that means. I guess she was trying to say she was naked on webcam and then called some people on webcam. I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know what that means. But she said that she did some webcam in her 20s. That's what Britt said. So I don't know what that looks like. But she said she never sold it, And I didn't like Drew's line of questioning, and then the way she was drinking. It's just dumb. And then they started talking about the situation where they were saying Drew has sucked the eggplant, and Britt was like, "How do you know?" Drew has said that she knew whose eggplant it was that Britt had sucked. Drew has said that at Shamia's house when they all had that little get together, little powwow. And so Britt asked her, how do you know? How do you know who it was? She was like, did you see it? Did you suck the eggplant too? And Drew was like, no. So Drew, that kind of put Drew on defense, having to say no. That's what she had received an email or something. So that was that scene. So at the end they squashed it. And they look like they're gonna move on and be cool, but they were able to squash things and talk things out and move along. But I just felt like Drew, the way she questioned Britt about that, I guess there was no other way to ask her, but the way she said, I just thought that was rude. So next thing, we have Drew going to court with Ralph to for their divorce that they have going on. They show Ralph getting out of the house. Basically, it looked like from the basement. And then Drew, in her confessional look, she looked a hot mess. I don't like that look. To me, Drew looked like a drag queen. She looked like off of RuPaul Drag Race. The makeup was too much. The hair was doing too much. I didn't like that look. I felt like it was too much drag queenish. It was too much going on. So then the divorce, the producer also asked Drew, what is in the divorce papers? Like, what is it that you don't want to come out? Like, what is it that you're trying to protect? And then she said that she's trying to protect Ralph more than she is trying to protect herself. And she wanted the divorce papers sealed because she's trying to protect Ralph and her children. But I feel like she's really trying to protect herself. Like I said earlier, I believe that there's some damage in information towards Drew's image, and that is why she wants it sealed. She doesn't want the girls to know anything about it because she doesn't want the girls to come after her on the show. And Ralph doesn't care. He wants it to be unsealed. He feels like he doesn't have anything to hide, and that's why I feel like Drew's lying, because it's protecting her more than it is protecting Ralph. That's my opinion. So in the next scene, we have the girls meeting up at the airport to go to Nashville for Porsha's birthday. They show Kelly and Britt leaving the house, and then they show Porsha at the airport, and then Cynthia, Bailey, and everybody's on their way to Nashville, except they show Angela. Angela missed her flight. She's like, missed her flight and having to get to Nashville late. And then Kelly's so funny. She's throwing shade at Angela. She said that Angela missed her flight because she had to go back home to get her fan. So y'all remember on every scene they have Angela with a fan. She has a fan in her hand on every scene. So she's pretty much trying to throw shade at Angela, saying that she had to go back home to get her fan. I thought that was funny. So then they show them finally getting to the house. The house looks like a beautiful Airbnb. It's on the lake in Nashville. And the girls are on their way there, and they get to the house, and the guy has this beautiful barbecue set ready for them. Southern food, soul food. The food looked good, and they're sitting down to eat. And Kelly asked Porsha, how she feels about her, celebrating her birthday or having her birthday without Simon. And so Porsha, she tells her, it kind of feels weird, feels different because his birthday is on June 2nd, and then Portia's birthday is 22nd. So apparently they, quite naturally, they would celebrate their birthdays together. They would travel the world. And so it does feel a little bit off and different for Porsha at celebrating her birthday without Simon. So then they show Angela showing up. So Angela walks in, and she says, when she walked in, she can tell that the girls had been talking about her. And they were. And you see Britt. Britt had that guilt look, like she was, the cameraman went to her and she just had that look like, yes, we have been talking about you. But Angela, she was right. They were talking about her. Well, just like Angela and Drew be sitting and talking about everybody. So they sit down, and then Angela sits down, and she finally made it to Nashville. She sits down and she starts telling the girls that she anticipates to see Drew. And they're like, how is that possible? Everybody looked shocked. And so Angela tells them that she invited Drew and that she anticipates to see Drew because she invited her. And Porsha was like, how are you going to invite somebody on my trip? And she was right. This is for Porsha. So, and they don't get along. Why would you do that? And then everybody in their confessional were like, now, Angela, why would you do that? Why would you invite somebody to a party that's not yours? You're not throwing it. You didn't put any money in it. And you're just going to invite somebody to something that, you have no business inviting them. But that's what she did. And Angela's defense, you guys, I don't even know if that was Angela's doing alone, though. Because security could have had her. Could have had her. Have her. Say, listen, we're gonna need you to call Porsha. Drew, and had her. They could have had her. Invite her without Porsha knowing. So basically, production probably has a lot to do with this, In Angela's defense, Angela probably didn't do this on her own, on her own conscience, like, let me just be dirty and messy. Let me go on ahead and invite Drew, So production probably told her to do it. And then Britt says that she saw Angela and Neiman Marcus, and she looked different, and she was hiding from them. She didn't want to be seen, act like she didn't know them, trying to hide behind some clothes. And then Angela said, no, I wasn't hiding. I said hello, I spoke. But I believe Britt's version of the story, because reason why is because Angela, and that other scene, she did say that her and her kids, when she was in that scene, when she was in the kitchen talking to her little kids, she was saying about her nose was pinched and she had to take Botox. So in that scene, that could have been during the time when she was at Neiman Marcus, during that time that she had taken that Botox and it made her nose blow up. That could have been around the time when they seen her in Neiman Marcus, and she was indeed trying to hide from them. So I believe Britt's version of the story. Angela's just, lying and saving face, in my opinion. Okay, so the next, they show the scenes with the girls calling their husbands. Shamia on the phone with her husband, Britt on the phone with her husband, and I believe Angela was on the phone with Drew, saying that the vibes were good, basically lying to her, telling her to come on down to Nashville, girl, the vibe is good, but it wasn't. And so they all get dressed up in their cowboy outfits to go to the city to celebrate Porsha for her birthday. Angela's outfit looks a mess. Everybody else looked okay, but she looked a mess. And then her sister, Portia's sister, Lauren, and her friends meet her in the city. Now that one lady, if y'all remember, she's that one lady, what's her name, Amia or Anna, I don't know how you pronounce her name, but she's that dark skinned lady. She's married to a white man. She's a beautiful sister. I think she's Nigerian. Beautiful chocolate woman. She's married to a white man. They have twin daughters. They have other kids, but I know the twin daughters were famous, and the twin daughters are so cute. I forgot their names, but I think they used to live in New Jersey when they became popular and became like a YouTube sensation or internet sensation, and they went viral, the two girls. So the parents moved the family to Atlanta, so now they live in Atlanta. But initially, when the whole thing started for the twins, they were living in I believe they were living in New Jersey, but they live in Atlanta now. So anyway, long story short, that lady's part of the Atlanta scene now. So what that means is, you know how there's this clique where it be Candy, Tiny, Toya Russian, Rashida, Manetta, and then I think like occasionally Porsha is part of that clique, and then Shamia is part of that clique. So that lady, when she moved to Atlanta, she became part of that clique too. Just like Yandy. Yandy moved to Atlanta, and she's part of that clique too. So there's like that whole clique, and then there's also a separate branch of that clique. So that's who that girl is. And then of course Manetta was there. The other two people are Provi. I don't know who she is. And who was the other one? The other girl, Chanel, whatever. I don't know who that is either. But anyway, they're all Porsha's friends. So they came down to Nashville. And then they show Drew. So the next scene is Drew. She's at Crew, which is Dennis's lounge. And she's FaceTiming Dennis. Once again, he's on camera. Even though he's not in person, but he's on camera via FaceTime. So I know Porsha gonna probably have something to say about that too, honey. Porsha told Dennis, I do not want to see you anywhere on these cameras with that girl. So we're gonna see how that plays out. Him being on camera. Even though it was FaceTime, still camera time. But anyways, moving along. So then the next thing they show, everyone is eating. They're all somewhere at a restaurant in Nashville. All the girls, the cast, and Porsha's friends. They're eating. They're sitting down to eat, and then Porsha brings up the fact that Angela invited Drew to the girls' trip without Porsha's permission and without Porsha's knowledge, which was foul. I mean, Angela shouldn't have not done that. So they kind of all gang up on Angela. So they're like, okay, you invited Drew without Porsha knowing it. Everybody chimes in. They say how foul and wrong that was. And I kind of felt sorry for Angela because I felt like everybody was ganging up on Angela. You know, Angela was wrong. Like, I'm not making an excuse for her. Angela was wrong for what she did, but at the same time, I kind of feel like Angela probably didn't do this on purpose, and she probably didn't do it without the help of production or the order or directions from production. I believe production had Angela do this, so that's why Angela did it. But then on the flip side, she could have did it just on her own, just to be messy. So they get into it, her and Porsha. And Porsha is like, no, Angela tells Porsha, so you're talking to me like I'm a kid, like I'm a 5-year-old. And Portia's like, no, I'm talking to you like however old you are, whatever your age is. And Porsha just not saying some kind things to Angela. She going off on her and then says, what kind of glue is on your effing head? And I kind of thought that was mean. I felt like Porsha was pulling a Giselle. You know how Giselle on Potomac, you know, she's always loud and wrong and messy. I felt in this scene, Porsha did not have to talk to Angela like that. I felt that it was wrong. But that was that scene. That's how it ended. So basically, they're all in Nashville eating, sitting down to eat, and they're talking about Drew coming and Angela inviting her without Porsha's knowledge. And Porsha and Angela get into it about that. So that was the end of that episode. So see you guys on the next episode, which is episode 8. So this was season 16, episode 7, Nashville Hold'em. Y'all, thank you for your time. Thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel, comment, like. It doesn't hurt. It's free to subscribe. It is free to comment. It is free to like the video. And thank you for stopping by the Tea Factory podcast. You all have a good day, a good night. Bye.